Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this episode I will be cooking Lusipi flavor pie, and that is lamb, taro leaves with coconut cream filling. Let's start cooking. First of all, I'm going to work on our flaky pastry for the pie. I'm going to sift our all-purpose flour, some sugar, a little bit of salt. Now I left my grater in the freezer along with the butter. I'm now going to grate our butter into the flour, and I'm going to do that quickly as possible so the butter can stay cold and frozen. You can buy the pastry from the shop, but for me I like to make the pastry from scratch. Especially I'm making a new flavor pie, or a new flavor to my collection of pies. So I want to make sure I do everything from scratch. Okay, let's go ahead and mix our butter and flour. Just a reminder, I've got all the measurements and our ingredients in the description box or in the beginning of the video. Without fail, I always make sure I put the ingredients in there. Let's go ahead and grate the last lot of butter. I had to leave it in the freezer so it doesn't melt or get too soft. This might be a long process, but trust me, you won't regret. I promise you, you won't regret all the efforts that you put into preparing, this pie. This time I'm going to add about 10 tablespoons of cold water. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'll give it a mix. Add another 10. So we are using cold water. Now I'm going to go with my hands and I will try and mix our dough, making sure that the flour, the butter and our cold water, they're all mixed well together. All the ingredients are mixed in, if that makes sense. So what we want is for everything to hold together. I think we don't need to add any more water. We just want to continue on mixing. Sprinkle some flour and we'll move our dough onto the bench. So you just keep repeating the process for about 3-4 times, and then we will wrap it in clad wrap or cling wrap and leave it in the fridge for about 2 hours. Do it one more time and then we'll wrap it. Okay, now we're moving to the next part of our recipe. We're going to prepare our lusipi. So I have some taro leaves from my garden and I've taken the stem out, as well as our coconut cream, some onions, some spices that I will add. Got thyme here, garlic, and our lamb. So I will include all the ingredients for our lusipi in our recipe, but I just want to say something, that if you don't have, not everyone have taro leaves available. A lot of people use spinach, frozen or fresh. It's all up to you what you want to use or what's available for you to use. Otherwise, you can pick up a can from a Polynesian store. If you have a Polynesian shop where you are, This is available, so balusami or the taro leaves already packed in a can. So instead of you going through the long way of cutting or preparing the taro leaves, you can use 2 or 3 of these or the spinach. So I'm going to cut my taro leaves. Now I have chopped my lamb at that size. Reason being is I want chunky pieces of lamb in the pie. That's the size I'm after. It's totally up to you if you want smaller than that. So we're just going to brown our lamb for now. So this will take about a minute or 2, depending how high your oven is, or how strong I should say. As you can see, our lamb is starting to shrink. Hence why I didn't want to cut it too small, because it will shrink as it's in the process of cooking. Add some salt on the other side, and then we're going to keep cooking until most of that juice is absorbed, and then we will add our other ingredients, our onions and our spices. We will drain out some of that oil. Let's add our onions. Add some black pepper. Add our garlic. We will add our coconut cream, half of it, and then our taro leaves or spinach if you are using spinach. Give it a good stir and make sure you mix up all the coconut cream and the lamb as well as the taro leaves. Add the rest of the taro leaves. We will add the rest of our coconut cream. Okay, we will let this simmer, or we will cook the lamb and the taro leaves on medium-low heat, and we will keep stirring. And feel free to add more coconut cream if you need to, but we'll cook it on low until our lamb is tender, as well as our taro leaves. Okay, our pastry's been sitting in the fridge for an hour. I thought I'll bring it out and roll it again, and then leave it in the fridge again for 1 more hour. Okay, we'll repeat the same process that we did previously. Back in the fridge for 1 more hour, and we should be ready to roll and assemble our pies. So we've got our 2 pastries here. I stopped recording earlier on. I had to run some errands and pick up my children from school, so I left everything and went off to do my school pickup, and our pastries have been sitting in the fridge, so we're going to finish off our recipe. This is our lusipi. It's been cooked and it's been cooled for quite some time. Our lamb is nice and tender, and our taro leaves with coconut cream. Now, another ingredient that I normally add to this pie, or I would suggest for you to add to the filling, I don't have sweet potatoes in my fridge, so I normally steam or cook the sweet potato or kumara or potato, and then I'll put it together with the filling in the pie. So that's quite nice as well. I don't have any sweet potatoes at the moment, so I'm just going to add that, and then I will cook the pie and serve, the pie with some steamed veggies and that. Okay, so that's our lusipi. It's all cooked and it's been cooled down, ready to be used for our pie filling. Okay, so this is our short crust pastry, and this is our flaky pastry. Okay, so we'll leave that on the side for now, but we will roll out the short crust pastry. I have got my pie tins here. Start with a small amount. So I'll continue on adding pastry to our pie tin. This is our short crust, and then we will blind bake some of them. And what I mean is that I'll put some rice in foil, put it in the pie tin, and then bake it in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will bring it out and add the filling. So I will blind bake some of them and just add the filling and bake the others normal. So yeah, I'll do everything and then I'll come back and show you when I finish. But that's our short crust pastry. Our pies just came out of the oven. They're sitting in the tins for a few more minutes before we take them out. Look how nice and golden brown they are, and look how fluffy the pastry, the flaky pastry at the top one. So these two in the front here, I am using the flaky pastry for both bottom and the top of the pie, and then these other ones here, I use the short crust pastry for the bottom part of the pie, and then the flaky pastry for the top. But from my experience, when I made my first lot of pies, I made steak and cheese and the other flavorings. So my steak and cheese pie, I made the pastry from scratch, the short crust, but I used the store pastry, which is the puff pastry. So my experience now with making my own pastry from home is much better. I would recommend you making your own pastry from home. It looks so much better. It's fluffy and it's flaky. So by now, if I was to use the store, I'm not saying my one is better, but the store one, when I take it out of the oven, after a few minutes, the pie will sort of like deflate, or the top part of the pie will go down, if you know what I mean, like it will sink in. But if you can see, it's still staying the same as it came out of the oven. And these pies have been sitting out here for a few minutes now. I would say 5 minutes or more, the first two pies here, and they're still the same height. Look how fluffy they are and how they're racing above the tin. So that's just my experience and my take of using the puff pastry from the store and making your own. And it literally takes a few minutes, doesn't take long at all to make your flaky pastry or the puff pastry at home. So that's the difference. This one here, I used the short crust pastry, so you can tell the difference. Let me take one of them out and I will show you what it looks like. So can you see the difference? I'm taking a closer look. Can you see? See how it's racing? The top part is racing, or it's sort of like higher. Excuse my explanation, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain here in a simple English. And there's our pies, once more. I would recommend making your own pastry from home if you're making your own homemade pies. It looks so much better, and of course it'll taste so much better. Adding your own filling might be time consuming, but it's worth the effort and the time that you put in making your own pies from home. Our pies are cooked, everyone, and here's our Lusipi flavor pie. It took some time. Like I said earlier on, if you take the effort in making your own pies from home, it will taste so much better, and it's worth the effort. So here's our pies. Let's go ahead and taste it and see what it tastes like. Quite nice. Just got the normal taste of the Lusipi, the lamb, the Taro Leaves, but the pastry is really nice. It's got a little bit of sweetness in it, but then the Lusipi has a little bit of salt in it, so it balances out. So I'm happy with the pastry, and I'm happy with the filling. I hope you give this recipe a try. Thank you to everyone who have supported my channel and who have subscribed. I appreciate all your support. Thank you for cooking with me and for baking with me tonight. Take care, everyone. I will catch up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.